Hi love bugs. Welcome back to my channel. Hey, hope you're doing well. I am so excited for today's video. YouTube has recently been doing its job right, and I've been recommended Jamie French. So Jamie has this series on her channel where she goes in depth on a movie while she's doing her makeup, and she's been picking such gems. The last one I watched was she reviewed the movie Crossroads, which is starring Britney Spears. Yeah. Anyways, watching her Movie Monday videos have just really taken me back. And that's where I got my inspiration for this video from. These movies to me that I'm going to talk about today are all just classics in my mind. Movies I saw growing up, or just comfort movies that are randomly on TV on a Saturday. You're just like, oh yes, I love this movie, let me put it on for some comfort. These are very, very basic, common movies, but maybe not, who knows? So I just basically made a list. Honestly, if you asked me to rank them, I wouldn't be able to. Yeah, so I just got really excited and hyped about this list. So I'm here to share it with you today. Okay, so I organized these by year. I wouldn't be able to rank them like I said, but yeah, let's just get into it. First up, Clueless, duh. I feel like this is just a late 90s staple. First of all, the fashion in this movie, chef's kiss, Cher and Dion's matching plaid outfits, Cher's Calvin Klein dress. Come on. Okay, so Clueless, if you haven't seen it, takes place in Beverly Hills in the 90s. Cher is a baddie. Her and Dion rule the school. She lives in a mansion with her dad, who's a lawyer. Cher is played by Alicia Silverstone. Big side note here. Another 90s movie that didn't make this list, but definitely has a place in my heart for whatever reason. Can we talk about Batman and Robin? Why is it so underrated, and why do so many people hate it? We have George Clooney, the guy that plays Robin. He's just a little sweetie pie. Wait. Best of all, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. Are you kidding me? I love that one. I love that Batman. I don't care what anyone says. It's so bad, it's good. So we also get the pleasure of Daddy Paul Rudd, who plays Josh, which is actually Cher's ex-stepbrother. So at one point, her dad and his mom were married, but they divorced. But Josh still sticks around because he's just cool with Cher's dad, but no blood relation. Anywho, we see Cher in all of her privilege, just dealing with day-to-day life, teenager things. She gets to play matchmaker for her teachers when she's trying to get out of a bad grade. She decides to take on the new awkward girl at school whose name is Ty. Rest in peace, Brittany Murphy. And her and Dion just basically try and give her that Beverly Hills transformation. But they try and find Ty a boyfriend, and then everything changes when Ty just flourishes. So there's plot twists, there's incredible fashion, there's just a point where Cher goes through what Kylie Jenner would say as realizing things. While she's giving Ty an external glow up, she realizes herself that she needs an internal glow up. Even though she was trying to find Ty a man, maybe deep down she realized she herself was ready for a relationship. Does she get the guy? You gotta watch and see, okay? Love you, Clueless. We cannot forget Cher's iconic.
As if.
Okay, so next we have The Basketball Diaries. Why do I feel like people don't talk about this movie as much? Okay, I will admit this movie does have quite a lot of triggering elements, but it's so good. It really shows the severity and the power of addiction and how it just completely takes over people's lives and ruins it. This movie revolves around 4 teenage boys who are best friends. Their school shows some really not good things going on there. We have the Leonardo DiCaprio playing Jim, the main character, and we also have Calvin Klein era Mark Wahlberg in the friend group as well. So basically it takes you through Jim and like all of the struggles he's going through. He has a friend Bobby who's dying of cancer. He's just sad, like his school has weird creepy men, and him and his friends, basically basketball is their only outlet. But the film takes you through how quickly and how easy they get into drugs, and how drugs just completely take over and ruin their life. So the movie doesn't hold back on graphic situations. Jim really takes you there. He takes you through it. He's going through it the whole time. Leonardo does such a good job at playing him. There's a scene guaranteed to make you cry. It's between Jim, aka Leo, and the lady who plays his mom. So powerful, so intense. I don't get why he didn't get an Oscar right then and there. And it's based on a true story. So I would recommend. You will definitely learn something from this movie. Watch it, but keep in mind that it's also triggering. Okay, coming in hot, we have a classic, in my opinion, Scream. Is it scary? From what I can remember, it's not scary. It's more like a fun mystery. Except there's people that are being killed, so it's not fun, but you know what I mean. It's like you're on the tip of your toes trying to find out who the killer is, so there's that. We have 90s queen Neve Campbell. Is it Neve or Nev? I think it's Neve. Anyway, she's starring as the main character, whose name is Sydney, and we find out that Sydney's mom was murdered a year before the movie's taking place by a killer who wears the Scream mask. The cops think they find the guy, and a man named Cotton was put under arrest for killing Sydney's mother, but he claims his innocence and he's like, I didn't do it, you have the wrong guy. So we are introduced to Sydney's boyfriend, Billy. So hot but so toxic. So he's the worst, but we also get this scene, which I remember watching that scene for the first time and I was like, throughout the movie, other teenagers from Sydney's friend group just keep ending up getting killed, and Sydney gets a phone call from the murderer who's basically just telling her like, hey, I'm actually the one that killed your mom, not Cotton, and I'm coming to get you next. It's just a wild ride. You get shocked once you find out who the killer is. Oh my gosh, this next one. I don't know why I have such like a strong attachment to this movie. 1996, Romeo and Juliet. Wow. Everything about this movie, I don't know why. I am just always under a spell when I watch this. So we have Leonardo DiCaprio as Romeo and Claire Danes as Juliet. Wow, so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Listen, this movie just makes me feel a certain type of way. If you couldn't guess, this is a retelling of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, so the dialogue is just full on Shakespeare. So when I watched it for the first time, I was a little confused, but it's fine. I completely understand it all now. This movie just gives us stunning scenes. Stunning. The fish tank scene. I promised myself that if I didn't find a man who looked at me the way Leo looked at Claire in that scene, I don't want it. I definitely let myself down. It's fine, one day that'll happen for sure. Okay, anyways, I just love the version of this movie, the costumes, the vibes, everything about it. Forever in my heart, always a favorite. Up next is The Craft. So The Craft is definitely a spooky time, but it's not scary. It's about this new girl in town named Sarah. She's going through it. She just tried to end her own life, and her dad and stepmom take her to a new town. It's her first day at school. She's just trying to, you know, get better. So she quickly becomes friends with this group of girls who are known to be the outcasts of the school, which is just rude. Let them live. But their names are Nancy, Rochelle, and Bonnie. So the popular guy at school named Chris, aka Billy, aka Skeet. Yes, his name is Skeet. He's like such a slime ball, but he goes up to Sarah and he's like, whatever you do, don't be friends with those girls. They're witches. But they actually like really are witches. So cool. The girls sense this power coming from Sarah. They're like, she's our fourth, meaning our fourth person to complete our coven. So they all represent the different elements. So Sarah just completes that. They all become friends, and each one of the girls is going through their own personal hardship. So Sarah, we already talked about, but Nancy is dealing with her gross, grimy, abusive stepdad. Bonnie has these really bad like burns and scars all over her back, and it makes her really insecure and she can't get rid of them no matter what. And Rochelle is dealing with the worst racist comments, and she's just getting tormented and bullied by the popular girl at school. They become a coven and they start working on their spells and their magic together, and they're just unstoppable. Not to spoil it, but you basically get to see what happens when you think you want something to happen, but then also what happens when the wrong people are in power. They recently remade it, but I don't know anything about it. I haven't seen it, so. Oh, this next one. Cruel Intentions walked so that Gossip Girl could run. The 1999 film starring Ryan Phillippe, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Miss Reese Witherspoon. It starts off with Sebastian, played by Ryan, and Catherine, played by Sarah Michelle, and they are, here we go again with the step siblings. I guess they just recently became step siblings. They're very much into like plotting and scheming against people to take them down, very much into games, like very Chuck and Blair-esque. Catherine just got dumped by her boyfriend named Court, and he left her because he wanted to get with this new girl named Cecile. Now this movie, while I was writing notes, it's very much focused on girls and their virginity. Let's not do that. Cecile has her V card intact, and Catherine basically just wants to destroy her reputation because her ex likes her. So she's planning on like slithering her way in, pretending to be Cecile's best friend, be like a mentor. But at first she wanted Sebastian to like come in and seduce Cecile, hit it and quit it. So when she approached Sebastian about the idea, he was like, you know what, no, I have bigger fish to fry. And by the bigger fish, he had his eye on Annette. Annette is played by Reese, and she's the daughter of their new headmaster at school. So Annette goes on the record saying that she's waiting for marriage, which is fine, but like it's just weird. It creeps me out how that was like the basis for the movie. Anyways, so Sebastian's like, I want to wreck her life. I want to make her fall in love with me and then leave, because that's just what he does. Scum. But Catherine doesn't believe that he can pull her, so they make a bet. And Catherine, if she wins, Sebastian has to give her his car, which is like a vintage car, whatever. But if Catherine loses, she's like, I'll let you put it anywhere. There's that. The more I describe this movie, I'm like, what? Anywho, we get to see Sebastian, who, like I said, is literal scum of the earth, actually turn into a human being. So you know, like how movies bait us into thinking that the bad boy will eventually just turn into a good guy, and you want to be that girl to change him, even though they never change. Yes, but the Sebastian and Annette scenes they hurt. The ending, it's not what you think. Okay, so yeah, this movie sounds a little bit rough, but I promise it's a good one. All right, of course this movie was on the list. 10 Things I Hate About You, come on. The main characters are a group of sisters. There's Kat, who's the older sister, she's a senior, and she's pretty angsty, hates people, is just ready to get out of her town and start her life and be a college girl. And there's the younger sister named Bianca, who is the complete total opposite of Kat. She's very social and she really wants a boyfriend. And they have a very strict dad who has this rule where it's like they're not allowed to date, but he'll let Bianca go out on a date only if Kat will go out on a date. And he does this because he knows that Kat hates everyone and she's just not about high school boys. So there's this new guy at school, his name is Cameron. He's played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he instantly is into Bianca. He sees her from across the way and just falls in love basically. And he's not the most popular guy at school. So he finds out that she needs a French tutor, and yeah, you guessed it, he becomes her French tutor. So Bianca's like friendly with Cameron, but deep down she doesn't have her eyes on him. She has her sights set on the most popular guy at school. His name is Joey. Is Joey a good guy? No, he's not. So while Cameron is tutoring Bianca, she lets him in on the predicament she's dealing with, and she's like, yeah, I can't go out with a guy unless a guy wants to date my sister Kat, and that's just impossible. I don't know who would go out with her. So Cameron and his friend Michael try and scope out the school and see if they could find someone who will date Kat. They stumble across this guy named Patrick, who's like a bad boy rebel type, and they kind of think that he would be the one because he's just known for not really caring about anything. So they go to Patrick and they try and talk to him, and Patrick isn't having it. So Michael's like, wait, you know what? I think I know who can handle this situation. The most popular guy at school, Joey. So he goes to Joey, and Joey doesn't really care, but he knows who Bianca is and he thinks she's hot. So he's like, yeah, I'll do it. Let's date Bianca. So he goes to Patrick and he's like, Patrick, I'll pay you money if you take Kat out so I can take out Bianca. Patrick's like, okay. So as you can imagine, Kat wants nothing to do with Patrick, but we go through the journey of, dare I say it, them catching feelings for each other. And Bianca has her own fair share of realizing things. If you haven't seen this movie, please go watch it. It's so good. I love it. The cast is amazing. King of all kings, Heath Ledger. Excellent job at playing Patrick. We get this gem of a scene. We have made it to our last movie, Never Been Kissed. So this was made in 1999, starring Drew Barrymore. She plays a character named Josie who was very unpopular in high school. She went through some high school humiliation. So the movie takes place after Josie graduated. She's 25 now and she's working as a copywriter, but she really wants to be a reporter. Her boss is just holding her down, not promoting her. Then this opportunity comes up where I guess they want to write about high schoolers and what they're like. And so Josie's like, wait, I could go back to high school undercover and I could write this and maybe my boss will make me a reporter. So she confides in her coworkers and her younger brother named Rob about it. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't sound like a good idea. Rob especially, he's like, don't you remember they used to call you Josie Grossi? Josie and Rob had different high school experiences. Josie was not cool, not popular. She just same, but Rob was like a sports star, did really well, and now after high school he's just like kind of stuck. But she decides to do it, so she shows up at school and quickly finds herself pretty much back in her old shoes. She does make a friend. She quickly becomes illuminated with her English teacher. Now listen, they are both into Shakespeare. She becomes like the #1 student in the class. I just hate that teacher-student dynamic. Maybe let's not do that. I know technically she's undercover and she's really 25, but he doesn't know that, and that's just implying weird things on the audience. She has to stay true to her job and stay undercover, and he's like, no, can't go there, she's a student. Anywho, we're introduced to the popular kids, the Mean Girl clique before Mean Girls ever came out, featuring Jessica Alba. Josie's like not having much luck, and her boss is like, hey, when are we gonna get our story? And she wants to write a good story to like blow them away. So Josie tells Rob about it, and Rob's like, you know what? I'm gonna enroll and I'm gonna help you get popular. So without giving too much away, Rob does get in. He does get Josie in with the popular kids, and Josie witnesses the gross things that were done to her while she was in high school. She just sees that cycle again. I don't want to give the ending away, but you find out that she's never been kissed in her whole life. Does she get her first kiss by a certain someone? You gotta watch. I'm about to give my honorable mentions, and the first honorable mention also has another creepy theme. That's not good. I'm not gonna lie. I remember I first watched this movie because of a Tumblr post, and I saw this picture of Joaquin Phoenix. He had like a mullet, but it was a very good look for him. And so younger me wanted to see what this was all about. So it was from this movie, and basically it's starring Nicole Kidman, and she's like a weather woman. And basically she convinces this high school kid, who is played by Joaquin, to get rid of her husband. Another movie that I really loved, which is very, 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 very alarming, 1996's Fear, starring Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon. Really a scary movie, but it like grabs you and shakes you up, and it teaches you a lesson. Oh my gosh, there's also a terrible scene featuring Reese's family dog. Maybe don't watch Fear. Maybe don't. Final one, which I actually recently saw not too long ago, 1989, The Virgin. This is starring Kirsten Dunst, and it's not even about the 90s. It really focuses on the importance of mental health. It's like one of those movies where you feel eerie, but it was good. That was a lot. That was so much fun. Looking back on them now, there's so many similar themes that really make me angry. Just wish the themes were a little bit different, but I mean, this is what it was. So I hope you enjoyed. I could certainly make one for early 2000s, late 2000s, even just Disney Channel movie special edition movies. The list goes on and on. Let me know if I missed some of your favorite late 90s movies. I'd love to hear all about them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun with this video. I know I did. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!